into US. Look at that! I'm a seasoned scooter adventurer. Well, welcome to a RiderCamTV video today, and today we're at Damerells with Steve and Colin, and today we're taking out this amazing little bike, the Honda X-ADV. What an awesome little scooter. Honda ADV, fantastic little bike. I've never ridden a scooter before. Well, rode a Bergman, as you saw last week, and this one is the Honda X-Adventure. Now it's got about I think it's about 750 cc, but we'll put it up there. About 54 brake horsepower, 68 newton meters of torque. It's got a 13 litre tank, which gives you, get this, up to 77 miles per gallon. I mean, that's just absolutely insanely incredible. And it's about 238 kilos, which is, you know, it's not a light bike, but it's not a heavy bike either. So we're doing 32 now, dual carriageway, so let's just crank it up and just see how we get on. So it gets to 70 really nicely, quite quickly. And what I do get from this bike is it's really smooth. Now this has got the DCT technology, so you can see all these buttons that we'll go through a little bit later. And basically it's got a back brake on the left, front brake on the right, and it's an automatic, it's a twist and go with a bit of a difference. Now you can have this in several different driving modes. So you can have it in drive. Now the normal drive will look for the economy and everything. So on the stretch of a small road, you'd be looking at getting up to fifth or, you know, top gear really quite quickly. Whereas if you press the D button again, and we'll obviously go through that later, you can get to sport. And that sport has also got 3 different modes. But the first sport, it allows you to ride the bike in a more natural way and take you up through the gears. Now we're doing 60 now in no time whatsoever, and the thing that I'm taking from this bike is not only is it really comfy, and I've got my legs up the front, it's almost like I'm on a Harley and I'm off across the Route 66 and got my pegs on the side of the engine, resting my legs, but it's really smooth. I haven't yet noticed the engine actually changing up at all. I did notice it as you go to slow down, because it's obviously slowing you and the speed and everything as well. But what a great looking thing as well. I love it. So in terms of the gadgets that you've got up front, you've got a G button, you know, the magic G button. We'll put a link in the description to all of the stuff anyway. The screen, I like the fact that they've thought about putting this sort of thing on the top, the sunshades, so heaven forbid we might actually get some sun in Cornwall, that might come in handy. But the speedometer and all of the dials and things are really well laid out. You've got your rev, your speed, all of that good stuff, what mode you're in, the time, all of that great. You've even got the date there, look, unreal. And the miles, 19 miles this thing's got on it. It's just been registered. So, you know, Damerells are really good to us. They've just registered it, said to us, do we want to try it? And you would have seen the Bergman video. I'll put a card up there. So, what else has it got? It's got a nice little infotainment, I guess, or a little screen there telling you when you're in neutral park, when you've got the ABS turned off or whether it's been activated, and a little LED for your key, and a little dial there that does quite a few things that we'll go over in a few moments. It does take quite a lot of getting used to come straight from a motorbike where you've got a clutch on the left and a brake on the right to then not be pulling in the back brake and letting things skid around. But you know the pickup on this thing it is immense. Now I don't know whether that's immense for me, because I have always had the opinion that these scooters are kind of, you know, a little bit gutless. They haven't really got much go in them. You know, are they as fun as they look? You know, why would somebody have them? Totally get it. And Mark on the Bergman video was saying much the same, that it goes really well, it's comfortable. And this is no slouch at all, really no slouch. In fact, I think this is probably quite a good head turner, you know. Quite a good head turner indeed. Now in terms of the seating position, I did notice that when I first got on the bike with my feet on the boards, flat on the boards, that I had to stop because it almost put my hip out. But that's just down to not being used to my feet being up that high. But where I've got my feet at the front now, on the front boards, really comfortable position to be in. I'm very upright. The handlebars are just the right width apart. They're not too narrow, and they're not too wide. I haven't got any vibrations whatsoever coming through the handlebars. The seat, it feels like I'm being pushed forward. It's like a lump on the seat right in the back of my coccyx, and that lump, I would say for me that would take a little bit of getting used to. I feel that I could do with going back on the bike a little bit, but we'll have a look and see if there's any adjustment in a minute. I love the styling on this bike. Oh my gosh, I love the styling on it. It just, I mean, you know, it's a crossover, isn't it? Honda have built this as a crossover from the city to, you know, kind of bit of off-roady stuff. I'm not sure how much off-road you could actually do with this bike, and I guess it goes hand in hand with what's been happening with the motor car industry over the last few years, with 4x4s and then saloons and estates and stuff, and then having to bridge that with what they now call crossovers. Those crossover cars, you know, they might look good, but in the snow and off-road, they're potentially no good, are they? It gives you the feeling that you're in a 4x4, and I think that's what this bike is going to give you. I'm not sure how good it would be off-road, or whether you would even want to take it off-road. But for that wow factor, if you're driving past, oh yes, oh yeah, it's just completely different. You know, the suspension's really nice actually. I'm not being pushed around or chucked about very much. It's not too firm and not too soft, but I would say that the standard stock setting that this is on has got it set up in the more stiff setting, which, to be honest, is fine. You know, it's a comfy ride. The wing mirrors are really good. I like the shape of the wing mirrors. I haven't got my elbows or my arms stuck in the way, so I can clearly see what's going on behind me. The screen, you can adjust the screen, but where it is, I'm not getting too much wind noise, but we'll change that a bit later on and see how we get on. But in terms of just fun, I mean, this little thing, 77 miles to the gallon, and I guess that's exactly the same with any vehicle. You might not get it, you might get it. It all depends on how you ride or how you drive them. But 77 miles to the gallon, 13-litre tank, you know, it's going to do a fair few miles for you. And if you're going to get something like this to do a bit of, I'd say kind of any commuting, but a bit of serious commuting, where you're going to be doing a few miles and you want to look something different, you want something a little bit more special perhaps, this could be the scooter. It could be the scooter for you. I just think it's really good. This is one of my favourite roads that you can get a few twisties on. Obviously we've got to be very careful because we've had all this horrendous snow. That's all melted, and then it's brought all the crap out of all the fields all over the roads, which is great. But hey, I'm on an adventure scooter now, I can do anything. What's the horn like on this? Not impressed with the horn, but That seems to be standard across the board with all manufacturers of motorcycles and scooters. You know, from me, and I know Mark thinks the same, if we could ask the manufacturers to do one thing on all of our bikes, is to put a horn on there that people can damn well hear. The amount of bikers, and I don't think there will be one biker anywhere in the world that hasn't nearly been knocked off or not been seen by a car, or something's happened that horn wouldn't have helped them with, you know. So why not put a decent horn on there? I just don't get it. Of course, this is quite thin as well, this little machine, so you can scoot in and out of different areas, you know, and right through the gaps. You know, filtering like you can do in the UK, filtering's not going to be a problem on this thing. I just love the pickup, you know, and it's not going to blow you away, don't get me wrong. The torque and the horsepower and the CCs all working together, it's not going to blow you away if you've come from an Africa Twin or a sports bike or a BMW 1200 or something like that. It's not going to blow you away in terms of its performance from what you're expecting. But I tell you what, it'll blow you away if you think that scooters aren't any good, because this is clearly a really gifted little scooter. And I think it's one of those markets that's just going to get bigger and bigger and bigger in future years, because the adventure bikes, you know, they are expensive. There's a whole myriad of different bikes that you can buy. But people might just want a scooter. They might just want something that looks a little bit different. I mean, gone are the days where we were riding around on those really old looking scooters and you had pedals on the side and you had to pedal up hills and stuff. You know, these are something else. Really are something else. Now I felt it as it changed down to second gear. But you're gonna get those little jolts. It was nothing major. I did feel that it went down. It made me look down thinking, oh, what's happening? But you're gonna get those certain things because it's got to change gear and do things for you. But it's quite an aesthetically pleasing thing to be on, to be honest. Really light. I know it's 238 kilos, which is getting on for, you know, the weight of our BMW 1200 Adventures, but it doesn't have shift. It's a bit muddy here, isn't it? Sorry guys at Damerells, brand spanking new bike is going to get covered in mud. Covered in mud. But it goes into corners lovely. You know, and you might have seen our counter steering video up there. Everybody on a bike will counter steer, whether they think they do or whether they don't think they do, or even if they don't know what it is, you will be counter steering at some point on your bike. And I can tell you what, this just falls into the corners. And I don't feel that I'm working overly hard to chuck it into the corners at all. I just feel that it's just wanting to go. It's always in the right gear, which is why I really like automatic, especially when you're driving an automatic car. It's always in the right gear. And you know, this just seems to be an ideal little scooter. I think coupled with if you had a look at the Bergman scooter, which will be up there, and this one, if you put them head to head, for me, the Bergman, as nice as it was and as luxurious as it felt, I'd have this all day long over that one. And the reason for that is, one, it looks goddamn special, and two, it goes really well, and it's, in my head, it's not as boring. The Bergman, no disrespect to it at all, there's probably a lot of people that like those Bergmans. The one that we had was quite the bland version, you know, it was the stock version, but it looked quite bland and it rode quite bland. Whereas this is, I would say, one of those scooters on steroids. It's awesome, and I never ever thought I'd say that about a scooter, ever. The brakes are really good, they're really responsive. You can really feel them pulling the engine back and getting the engine and everything to work together and change gear when you need to. It's the only problem with roads like this, you get people in front of you that can't even do the speed limit or anywhere near it. But the pickup on it, and I think I'm impressed by the pickup more because I wasn't expecting that sort of pickup on a thing like this. I've always regarded scooters as a little bit boring, you know, one of those necessities, and you know, people might get a little bit upset with the fact that that's how I thought they were, but I tell you what, I've changed my opinion totally now. After riding this, totally changed my opinion. Really quite enjoying it. So I just let the bike do its own thing here. Look, down into third, down into second, got my view, power on. Yeah, just, you know, it really is working well. All of the gizmos, electronics, all of the computer and stuff really works really well on this thing. And it just, you know, if you want something that's just going to give you that thrill, it really does. You know, and I'm going no slower and no faster than I would on my own bike around these corners, and it's doing it with ease. There is no issue at all. It's doing it with exceptional ease, as my bike would do. Honda X-Adventure scooter. I tell you what, I've only ridden one scooter, and that was the Bergman that you would have seen the review that Mark did of it, and I had a bit of a scoot around on it. I tell you what, I'd never ever thought that scooters, what's the point of a scooter? It's like boring, you know, commuting.
That's not controversial at all.
I know, but that's, you know, it's just my opinion, that I always thought, what's the point of having a scooter? It's great, everybody that's got a motorbike or two wheels is a friend anyway, part of the community, but what's the point of having one of those scooters? What are they like to ride? Are they boring? This ain't boring. It really is not boring. From the aesthetics of it, it just looks like something special, and I reckon that this is going to be a real head turner as you're riding around. I love it. I love the styling of it. I just love the fact that they've added all these different colours, and we were talking just a few minutes ago, Honda have got this real good ability of having nice colours that make you want to buy their stuff, and that's what this does. The screen's adjustable. There's no buffeting on the screen. It's got LED lights all the way down, you know, LED indicators. It's only got 17-inch wheels, and they're trail wings, whatever they are. However, they're Bridgestones, but they're really comfy to ride on. The suspension, it's an upside down fork, and I'm sure that you can adjust the suspension, but I found it not too hard but not too soft on normal riding. But when I then came to ride on the back roads to get where we then have a quiet space to talk about the bikes, it was extremely bumpy. So there was kind of it didn't adapt to the situation there. In terms of sitting on the thing, now Mark had this with the Bergman. Do you get on like the Queen? And I just prefer to put my leg over because it feels like I'm on a motorbike, you know. Now it's got a side stand and a centre stand. But one thing I did notice is that when I pull away with my legs there, because I'm used to the adventure, my hips were wanting to pop out every single time that I was riding like that. So I ended up riding like that, and that was a superbly comfortable position because it kind of threw me back up into a natural position to ride. Everything here is just on hand. You know where it is, you can see everything, you've got a 360 view. The screen is really good, it's really vibrant, unlike the Adventure Africa Twin, where you've got a real good reflection on it, or really bad reflection. This one's got everything you need on it. It's got loads of modes, but I do find it hard to get used to using the back brake and a front brake, and that's why I went really slowly to get down to here, and Mark was behind me and I'm sure he's going, oh come on, just get on with it, Toby. But the reason I went slow is because I didn't want to panic with a car coming and revert back to adventure riding, put the clutch in and then suddenly skid out of control. But it's got
Before you go on, just sit on there so I can see your how you actually look. So that looks a really comfy riding position.
It is. Now the only thing about this riding position is that the seat has got a bit of a lump, that lump. Now for me, I would prefer the lump to be there, so I would have preferred to be able to put my legs out a little bit further really. I felt a little bit squished up, comfortable, but it could be more comfortable is what I'm trying to say. It's got a handbrake. How cool is that?
Look at that.
How cool is that? Handbrake off, handbrake on. Now it took me ages to find that. It did take me ages to find that, but we found it. So, got loads of gadgets up here, loads of them. So, it's a keyless ride.
Amazing.
Keyless ride, and you have to press the centre thing until you get like a blue glow. Nice blue glow to tell you that it's on, and then you can turn it to seat, and you can unlock the seat by pressing the button.
It's like a Hoover.
I know, it's great. And you can, ooh, and you can press that button to open the fuel cap, which is really good. Turn it to there with the blue on. So it's got a time delay, so with the blue on you can turn it around. Then you get a nice indicator here as well, which is really good to show you whether you're in neutral, parking brakes on, the ABS is functioning or being activated, your keys in range, that sort of stuff. And the screen, it couldn't be laid out any better, to be honest. I was really impressed with the information just being there. And one thing that I have noticed is that they've started putting these shades on top of the screen.
Who'd have thought of that? You put a shade over the dashboard.
Which is really good. Now in terms of the screen, you can change the screen. You can move it up or move it down, and it's I mean, you can do it with one hand. You couldn't do it where you're riding, but you just literally,
Let me see those switches, mate.
pull that out and literally it goes up and down, and you can select where you need it to go, and then it's just a case of clamping it in.
Wow.
Really good idea. The switches, so when you activate it you get your blue hue and all that sort of stuff.
Blue hue?
Blue hue.
Do I know him?
I don't know. Do we know blue hue? So turn it to number 1 and you can then start the bike. Now when you start the bike, it sounds like a meaty roar, but there's all these buttons here, so I'm going to turn it off so we can actually hear it. On the right hand side of the handlebars you've got this button, and obviously that's for neutral, drive, and then if you press it twice there's a sports. Now
Oh wow,
yeah.
a sports scooter.
Now the difference between the drive and the sport is that the drive will look just for the economic riding. So in the space of 1,000 yards pulling away, you might be up in top gear very, very quickly because it's looking for that economic ride, whereas the sport will be much more natural as you're riding, as I've shown on the first bit of the video. So you've also got automatic and manual switches on the top here, and then coupled with that on the other side, getting Mark to do a lot of work on this video.
I'm exhausted.
On the other side you've got a plus button, and underneath you've got a minus button. And what that means that you can do is in any of those modes you can decide whether it's going to go down a gear or up a gear, and it's really well placed. So I don't know whether you can come up to my hand, so where you're sat with the handlebars, it's minus and plus the gears, and it's really quite a natural place for them to be. It's like the paddles on your steering wheel on your BMW or whatever car you've got. But the switch gear, exceptional Honda stuff, it's across the board. They're the same sort of buttons. You get really good feedback, they work really well, you know that you've pressed them. Quite impressed with it, to be honest, for a scooter.
Switch it on then.
Are you ready to hear me unleash the beast?
Flash the lights.
They're good lights, aren't they?
They're brilliant.
You've got good LEDs as well, which is really awesome. You know, this day and age, you should have LEDs, I think, on every bike. But now on the Bergman, this seat was quite long, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Same as this seat. I'd prefer it, for me, movable. I would have liked it back perhaps another couple of inches to get that out the back of my back. But it's really quite funky. So you can open it by a touch of a button, just by pressing a button.
That says seat, does it?
Yeah.
Take your finger off your big
seat.
There you go.
And then I will open my cavernous region, which has also got a damper on it. Now, I wouldn't say that that's a huge space to put stuff.
Put a helmet in there.
But you'll get a helmet in there, no problem at all. I like the fact that
you probably get some shopping in there as well, really.
Well, you might do, like a bag of chips or something.
There's an indication of how big it is, so yeah.
Yeah, it's really quite big.
I'm happy with that.
Yeah. It's got good grab handles, so you can grab as you're holding on, which is really good. The can, I think, adds to the aesthetics of the bike. You know, and they've really thought about this. This is what I like about Honda. They've really thought about things. That's the pillion peg.
Wow.
Now, I don't think, and I don't know about you, Mark, have you ever seen another bike that has got those pillion pegs that are actually hidden away and form part of the adventure look? I don't think I have.
Pillion's going to be sat quite high on that though, aren't they?
Yeah. I don't know whether I ought to try it. Perhaps I should have ridden it back here, like that.
I've got it. You sit right back.
The handbrake's on.
Oh, right, okay. Sit
Perhaps
further
I
back.
should have done that, Mark. Like Hightower in Police Academy, where he's riding on the back seat.
Put them down and sit right on it. You don't want to move, do you, in case you fall off.
But that would be quite high.
That's quite a high pillion.
Quite a good view.
You can see forever out of that.
I could see forever. But, you know, what a lovely little machine.
And it's the 750 engine that's on it, and it's the same bike that's in the NC 750.
Yeah, and this has got a 13 litre tank, good for 77 miles to the gallon, they reckon.
Wow.
I know. And the pickup on it, I mean, Mark was following me and I said, this goes really well. And he said, yeah, I know. It just goes so well.
It was going quite quick, actually.
And the thing that impressed me about it as well is the working of the automatic. Now, I had it in sport because for me, I don't want it in an economy version. I want to be able to ride it. And I was riding those corners at the same speed, no faster, no slower, in the same conditions that I would have been on my adventure. So for people that think, like I wrongfully thought, you know, these are boring machines, actually they give you just as much potential as a bike like Mark and I have got to go around the world. And you know, if you can put up with putting other luggage on the back and having a different luggage arrangement like we, rather than our boxes, this will go around the world all year long.
I'm not sure if they do luggage for these yet. But obviously,
it's got a cavernous hole.
But you know, you could certainly strap a bag on it if you're on your own.
Yeah, I'm just really impressed. The only thing that I would change is the seating position. Needed to be sort of there for me, so that I could put my feet on there. I feel that I'm just too low and my knees are too high, putting too much pressure on my hips. But that might just be because I'm used to riding like that.
So, a question then: would you ride this on tracks?
On a racetrack?
No, on a gravel track.
I'd have a go. I think I'd have to have a lot of practice on it on the road or on different road terrains before I went and just powered off. But you know,
now the road we've just ridden down is really not a nice road, is it? I mean, this looks fantastic, but to get here we've had to come down some horrible single track lanes. Confident enough to ride it on there? I know you said there was an issue with the brakes, but did you think it was all right? It's going to cope, isn't it? Yeah, I think it is.
It's going to cope. It's got the clearance, the ground clearance and stuff. It's certainly billed as an adventure, and as I was riding around talking about it, it's billed as a crossover, much like the Qashqais, that sort of stuff. But how many people will take a
Qashqai's a car.
Yeah, which is a car. But this is the same principle. So you've got your sports bikes, you've got your adventure bikes, you've got your normal sit-up and beg bikes. This is a crossover, so a crossover of a scooter. How much are you going to take it off-road? Certainly going in campsites, it's not going to be a problem. On gravelly roads, that sort of stuff. If you're talking about BMW or other manufacturers off-road courses going up hills like that, I don't think that this is a bike that I would do it on, but I'm willing to be proved wrong. There's people out there that do it.
I spoke to somebody before we left today who works up in Wales in the UK, and he said that a mate of his had bought one of these, used it for commuting, absolutely loved it, but then changed it for a Triumph touring bike, which he kept for 2 months, and went back and bought one of these.
Really?
Now that's amazing, I think.
Now, you know, Mark and I tour, I'd say for a living really. You know, that's what we kind of do every year. If I was given one of these as a hire bike because mine had broken down, I think I'd just have fun.
I agree with you there, mate.
I really do. It certainly changed my point of view about scooters. And if I was to have a scooter, this would be the scooter for 2 or 3 reasons. One, that it goes like stink. It doesn't feel like a scooter. It rides really well. You can chuck it about, but it's a head turner. It looks completely different and really much more special than any other scooter that I've seen. Really impressed with it, absolutely impressed with it. And it's got handbrake.
And I've just noticed something, that this has got the same hand guards as the Africa Twin behind.
Yeah. So if they're cheaper for the X-ADV Adventure, buy them for that and then stick them on your Africa Twin. But so if you've enjoyed the video, give us a massive thumbs up. If you're a scooter rider, if you've got an experience with one of these, let us know what your experiences are. Yeah. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button, because I'm running out of things to say and my mind is going wrong. And we'll see you in the next one.